This was definitely a crazy tweet. I saw this. Okay, check this out. Hold on. Rust teams at Google are as productive as ones using Go and more than twice as productive as teams using C++. Before we go through all this and argue, okay? Let's do a little poll, okay? Let's do a little bit of a poll. Let's see where everybody ends on this one because I'm just curious. Okay, so most people think it's false. Still, a pretty large percentage is saying that they think it's true, even though this is only 270 votes out of plus 2,000 people. Yeah, 2,200 people, and people aren't believing it. Okay. So I'm going to give you my take on this one. Okay, so I've done a lot of user testing at Netflix. I've done a lot of thinking about how you test users and you do all that, okay? So it's a very important skill to have to recognize when someone says something that they're full of shit. Okay, and so let me give you little reasons why I can tell you why this statement is, of course, full of shit. So whenever you do testing to find out is something better or worse, what you have to do is you have to minimize the amount of variables. And so that means to truly test this, A, you're going to have devs, same level of experience. B, you're going to have to work identical problems. And C, you're going to have to be given the same amount of resources and management, right? Because managers can totally screw up how well people program, the type of messaging, how they manage their communication style, right? Like there's plenty of reason that can totally F up a team regardless of the team's experience. Then not only that, but the people working on the team have to have equal levels of jive. You know what I'm talking about? Like they have to be able to work together in a really good way. And so when I see a statement like this, why I can say this statement is utterly pure bullshit is that, one, I don't believe everybody has the same level of experience because C++ has been out since before I was born. And guess what? Rust is fairly new. Okay, so by that very nature, very senior Rust people are not even midway through the C++ cycle. There's people that have been programming C++ for so dang long. And so there ain't so experience levels aren't the same. Second off, Rust hasn't had the time to mature at a place like Google. So whatever projects you're working on with Rust aren't going to be in the same kind of tenure. How much do you want to bet these C++ code bases that they're working on are plus 10 years old minimum? Like absolutely minimum. And so it's like the difference of working in a 10-year-old code base versus working on a green field is absurd to compare. And these code bases aren't like small ones, right? These don't happen to be like, this code base is 5,000 lines versus 3,000 lines. It's going to be like, well, this one's a 500,000 C++ code that started off with C 99 and has been slowly upgraded to C 23. So ain't no way I believe that. Second off, C++, people that have been programming C++, largely what I have seen in the C++ world is a lot of like OOP abstraction, which I think slows people down. So even just coding style and techniques are going to be so vastly different between the Rust side of people and the C++ side of people. And I think just a lot of functions is easier to manage than all of that. Testing, again, testing has been fairly non-existing for a lot of C++ projects where it's already a first-class citizen. So some could argue that's the productivity of Rust, but that's also the mentality of the developers as well, right? It's a big difference. But at the end of the day, when I see this stuff, don't ever look at it because you know for a fact teams are completely uneven. They're asymmetric teams. You have asymmetric problems. You have asymmetric management. And so you cannot measure this. I'd say the only thing you can say from this thing that I'm looking at right here is this. I cannot believe that Go is 2x as productive as C++. Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Oh my goodness, how sweet is that? Let's go. How sweet is that? Absolutely the best take from that. Absolutely the best take from this one right here. It's honestly true. You can't take anything from this. So anyone that says this, just remember that whoever said this, I don't believe it's in good faith. I believe it is to sell something, right? They developed some dumb property like lines of code, maybe features delivered, and that's it. Like an orthogonal one-dimensional thing. Didn't consider like difficulty of features, duration of features, any of those things, and then that's it. Maybe they did time spent compiling. No, Rust would be like 20x more productive. But it's just whatever the Rust team is working on and whatever the Go teams are working on, in my book, is probably less complicated than whatever the C++ teams are working on. Less legacy, less everything. That's all I'm saying. Okay, that's it. I don't believe him. I don't believe him for one bit. Why I assume in bad faith is that bad, because this is why, is that whoever's talking right here, I have to assume is really, really smart. And so I only have two potential axes that I could assume on. One, I could assume that this person is an idiot and is just making a really bad comparison. Or B, found a statistic that really is sexy and said, bam, look at that, it's twice as productive, right? And that's kind of like it's kind of like these like shit measurements, okay? And so I can't assume this guy's stupid. I think it'd be meaner of me to assume it's stupid than to assume they gamed the metrics. And my assumption is that it's probably better to game the metrics, because there's lies, there's damned lies, and then of course there's statistics every single time. Let's see. Hold on. We never even checked out what some of the comments are saying here. Probably saying a lot because writing C++ at Google is well supported. So this guy's actually saying it's even better. Probably one of the easiest places to be productive writing C++. I don't doubt selection effects, but if the effect size is 2x C++ productivity, it puts to bed the notion that Rust can't be productive. I don't think I've ever thought that Rust couldn't be productive. Why do I get the feeling they're not working on the same things? That's my take. That's my take right there. Isn't it kind of a self-selection? Teams that I know that work on CPP usually can't move as fast because their work depends heavily on factors outside their control / has crazy amount of legacy code. A team that's able to write Rust probably has less clutter in the way. Also, Go is goated. Let's go. The man is crushing it. Isn't it simply just a Go ad? Like how viral Rust is, it just seems to be marketing strat to put Go as good as Rust to make people interested in Go. Since, it's Google. It's not Google. I mean, it is Google, but it's not Google. Look at where it's at. It's at Rust Nation UK. It's not quite the same. Big fan of Rust, and we're going to need some more concrete metrics / methods to contextualize this. Absolutely. I'm on this team. There you go. I like that. If C++ is a language for Android OS teams, but Rust is the choice for new greenfield tools, then that's not exactly a level comparison. There we go. Fantastic. Yeah, I assume this is, how's Google measuring this? Where's the data? There you go. So it seems like everyone is having pretty much the exact same observation, which is that these are very asymmetric tests, and there's absolutely no way that you could try to compare them on any sort of meaningful metric. And just beyond that, I think what this says to me is it's really good to pick something and become good at it. Honestly, just pick anything and become good at it. That is just so much more valuable because you're going to be able to move fast within your tool. And if you can move fast within your tool, you have a chance to be really, really good at what you're doing, and you have a chance to just get hired and have more stuff. Yeah, the thing is that notice that I'm not saying don't use anything. If you want to use JavaScript, go use JavaScript. If that's the space you want to be the best in, go be the best in JavaScript. That's totally up to you. What if I pick something and never get good at it? I think that you're not trying and you're putting in very low effort. I just have a very, very I have extremely small amounts of belief that you are a dummy. Right, I just think that you just don't put. I just think you don't put the effort in. It's a skill issue. It's simply you don't put in the effort. Do I have to try to become the best at it? You should try to become the best version of you at it, which means every single day you should get a little bit better. You should be thinking about it. You should be reading up on it. You should be taking the time to become better at it. And no one should ever strive to be the literal best, right? First off, measuring it again is like measuring this. Are you 2x more productive than this other Go engineer? Like, what does that even mean? But you should 100% try to get good at what you're working on. To me, that's one of the craziest things I see is that people never actually learn what they work on, and they constantly have to Google how to do things, or they let Copilot purely drive for them. That's like really, like, why would you want that? Like, why wouldn't you want to be so good you can just flow from your brain and write? You know what I mean? Just nonstop. Just become one with the thing. Like, learn it deep in. Because you know how crazy it is that you'll watch somebody and they totally recognize the fact that like playing soccer or playing anything and get good at it requires you to deeply understand it. Like, they understand the point of practice. You also do that with any orthogonal thing like woodworking. To understand being good at woodworking, you have to like really learn your tools, and then you have to use them long enough to actually gain that hidden knowledge. You know what I mean? That knowledge that you can't just earn by reading, you only earn by doing the experience. And then we apply none of it to programming, like, oh, I could just look that up. It's like, no, there's actually something more to it, right? There's that hidden knowledge of being able to do something over and over again that gets you faster and faster and faster and better and more understanding. You know what I mean? People that are the people that are drawn to programming are also the people that are allergic to hard work. I just don't agree with that statement at all. Right? I don't think that's true in any sort of capacity. Just saying, I don't believe you. That's calling YouTube out right now. I think that if you're allergic to hard work, I think that you're gonna have a really hard time being good at programming. And that's it. He's talking about physical work. You should be working physically as much as possible. Honestly, you should. Your body needs it. Make sure you're working it out. It's good for your brain. It makes you faster upstairs. Being fast downstairs is being fast upstairs. The name is the Primeagen.